and this is me owning up, I was talking crap about Nicholas Hoult. Mostly because I feel like I should have been Lex Luthor. But
there's your origin story.
But we can break that down later. But
Is Superman the best solo Superman film starring Superman since 2013's Man of Steel solo Superman film? We'll find out in this episode because we are doing our spoiler-free Superman review here on the Eat Sleep Nerd channel, a show where you can check out, go AFK, and relax with us as we discuss all things nerd. I'm your show host, Corey Winter, and getting right into it. We have our Eat Sleep Nerd team here. We got Superman superfan Jason Summer.
Hey-o!
We got my wife, Cynthia Winter.
Woohoo!
We got my brother, Josh Winter, and we got our geeky friend, Christian James.
What's up?
All right, so Superman, the biggest film of the summer. We have just gone to see it. We got to do the early preview thing.
thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Amazon Prime.
So I like how we're spread blue team versus gray team over here.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, so as I was saying, this is a spoiler-free review. We're not going to talk about the story or anything like that. We want to keep this movie special and secret for all of those that have not seen it yet. But if you want to know what you're getting yourself into, we're going to talk about this movie without spoiling anything, giving our score, all that fun stuff. Then stay tuned a few days from now, probably later this week, maybe next week. I'm not sure. We'll see when it gets posted on our YouTube channel. We're going to do our spoiler discussion where we just geek out over the story. We geek out over the characters. We geek out over everything. That's coming soon. Separate video. So, before we get into our score, I want to know from all of you, individually, general overall thoughts.
Superman. Justice League featuring cameos by Superman.
Ooh, that does not bode well for his score. Cynthia.
Superman gave me hope in cinema again after Jurassic World Rebirth.
All right, Josh, what you got?
Loved it.
All right, Christian.
Superman.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Superman, worthy of the title of the summer's biggest movie, despite some flaws here and there. All right. So, kind of seems like most of us are okay with the film. Jason.
Well, I'm not
Jason.
okay with it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You seem a little bummed. You're the one decked in Superman swag here. I don't know if we can see this on camera. He's got the cool shoes. Look at that. Look at that.
Those are super.
Super
Those are
swag.
super cool shoes.
Yeah.
That's a flashy hat.
Yes.
You got us all these t-shirts, by
Thanks,
the way.
Jason.
Yeah, that was-
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
All right.
Want
So,
to get all in.
are you guys ready to see what we scored Superman
Yes.
on the Eat Sleep Nerd scale? If you're not familiar, Eat Sleep Nerd scores things on a scale of 1 to 5. We each give our individual scores. Then we average them all together to see what the Eat Sleep Nerd score is. We do use decimals, so you can do a 1.5, you can do a 3.72. But we'll see where we land. So here we go, our official Eat Sleep Nerd score.
That is.
He looks evil.
He does. He looks angry.
My back.
All right, so we're off to the races here. We're all pretty even so far as we get into the 2s and up into the 3s. But Jason is falling down, and he's going to finish at a 3.5 out of 5. But the rest of us are still going. We're starting to fall off. We got Josh at a perfect 5 out of 5 score, which gives us a 4.5 out of 5 from the Eat Sleep Nerd team. So how does that make you guys feel?
I want to ask, and maybe you're not set up to do this, and if you're not, you can cut it.
Okay.
But as soon as we reveal the score, I always want to know how we compare to audience scores. Does Rotten Tomatoes have an audience score yet?
They do.
No.
Oh,
we
they
have the
critic
critic
score.
score.
Okay. I don't care about critics.
Okay.
All right.
They're not people.
Audience scores will not start hitting until Friday.
Okay. Oh yeah, because you losers haven't seen it yet.
All right, so taking a look at that breakdown, since it always goes by so fast. So all of us, except for Jason, were above a 4. So Christian at a 4.3, going up for me at a 4.5, Cynthia at a 4.75, and Josh, you actually gave it a 6 out of 5.
I was going to say,
wow.
technically, you have a typo there.
Yeah. Our scale does go to 5, so I bumped you down to 5. But Jason.
Yo.
So the big Superman fan.
Yeah.
And all of us here love him.
Yeah.
But you're definitely, he's your go-to guy.
He is.
You gave it a 3.5 out of 5. So I want you to kick off the conversation here. Yet again, no spoilers.
Yeah.
Just how did you feel about this movie?
So I think what we run into, for me, it's the same problem that John Carter of Mars had when it came out. It was a really good movie, but everything that was in it had been done before.
Hmm.
I enjoyed it, but it just couldn't get really off the ground. For this movie, it's kind of the same thing. It's like the superhero trope, I think, is so played out right now that it's hard to do anything that is unique and super exciting and whatever else. So for me, I mean I did enjoy this movie, but at the same time, a lot of the thing, like I felt it, for me, it was really predictable in a lot of ways. There was something at the beginning where I solved out the reason, like within about 3 seconds, and they did the reveal later in the movie. I was like, and I knew what it was. Like, and I don't know if that's just because I watched enough movies or it just was that predictable. So, um, David Corenswet was great as Superman. It's a good, solid comic movie. It just didn't give me the wow factor I was hoping for.
So, picking off a couple of your points, I will say the best parts of the film by far were when David was on screen. Like, by far. He was a fantastic Superman. I do want to get your thoughts just on how he compares to all the other Superman, and we'll have that big discussion. But I think he was fantastic. I loved him. He definitely brought the Superman vibe to the character. And then, yeah, it very much felt like a comic book movie. Like, probably the most comic book movie that we've had in my recent memories. Like, it was very comic booky. And James Gunn, there was a lot of James Gunn flavor in there.
It was a James Gunn flavored movie, 100%.
Some in some ways good, in some ways bad. We'll talk about the bad when we get to the spoilers. But what do you guys think? How was David? How was the movie?
See, I loved that it was a comic book movie
Oh, I did too.
because
But it too James Gunn in some ways.
yeah, I mean, yes, he's that's the risk when you have style.
Yeah.
Like for example, the slightly wonky camera angles that we were all worried about when we started seeing the trailers. Yeah, they're in there. And they're a huge chunk of the movie. And I had to get past that because the rule Corridor Crew talks about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
What makes something look weird sometimes is when a camera is moving in a way that a camera can't actually move. Because it breaks it breaks the feeling of a movie. Because for 100 years, we know what a camera can do. We know what a crane shot looks like. We know what smash cut looks like. We know what all these things look like. And when a digital camera is flying around, it doesn't have those same rules. But to me, I would say about a third of the way into the movie, I kind of started to love it because it made me feel like a kid again, right? It wasn't concerned about being serious. It wasn't concerned about being adult. It wasn't concerned. It was just a big comic book movie. It was like watching a live action Justice League cartoon. And I mean that in the best way I possibly can. And it was big and bright and loud and colorful and funny. And maybe not the greatest film ever made, but if you're going to make a comic book movie today, right now, this was the kind of comic book movie you should have made. Because it wasn't ashamed to be a comic book movie.
No.
Because like as much as and I mean we've got it on film. I am a Snyder fanboy. That man can make the out of a movie, and it will look like a movie.
Yeah.
But because of that, it kind of robs it of the comic book of it.
Yeah.
Like it's supposed to be fun, and it's supposed to be over the top. And this is the first time even Marvel's kind of started leaning into the realistic kind of thing. You know, like I mean, yeah, they're still willing to do comic book stuff, but they want it to be believable.
Yeah.
James Gunn didn't give two toots if it was believable. And to me, that was great.
Yeah.
This felt like old Marvel. And this felt like I said, like when I was a kid again.
Yeah. We still got Christian and Cynthia that have not really shared their big feelings. But both scored it pretty high.
I have feelings.
All right,
as we're
Christian.
doing this now. Yeah, same thing with Josh. Like there was the whole movie itself was just fantastic. David Corenswet was really good. Rachel Brosnahan was a great Lois.
She was fantastic.
It wasn't like the weird trope that she was like the female side character. She was like really poignant in her whole role, and I love that.
She was doing her own thing.
She was doing her own thing. She wasn't like relying on anything for her to move forward in the movie.
And at no point did she need to be rescued.
Exactly,
which was key.
Yes.
Which was key. But you know, like for my score, there was like some pitfalls on just scenes having weird times. You know, like either too long, too short, what have you. But it was very fun. It was like the color palette of the whole thing was really good because it's like it's not something that you'd ever see a lot in movies, but just like it was pleasing to the eye the entire time.
It was like primary colors. It
Right.
was,
Big, bold colors.
Everything was real bold.
That Superman suit popped.
Yeah,
in all
it
the
did.
yes,
scenes.
yes, and that was right. Big blue was really a big thing. It was very blue.
Yeah,
but I loved it.
All right, Cynthia.
I loved it.
All right.
And hopefully this goes to show that I
am capable of
I
loving
am
things.
capable. I'm capable of truly enjoying a movie in the theater. It was fantastic. So this was my first experience with Superman. Period.
Oh.
Now, for those that are not familiar,
That all
has a
gasped.
history of just not
Unsubscribe.
watching movies.
Never. I enjoy movies.
Yeah.
I just never watch them. But this truly was my first experience. The only other experience I've had with Superman in my life is I have been to Metropolis and taken a picture in front of his statue.
Okay.
Maybe twice
We're in
even.
Metropolis, Illinois.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've taken the picture and I was like, hey, this is the guy. And
Is the dude.
but this movie made me excited that I did that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've never seen any of the characterization of Superman in the comics, in any other iterations of him. I've never seen it, and this wasn't the characterization I expected it to be because it was so much better than what I expected. I guess I've always had this idea that Superman was like
A little stoic.
yeah.
Mhm.
And this was not, and it was great. This is like if I were to write Superman, this is exactly how I would want it to be. I'm not saying I could do it better because it was great. It was exactly how I would have wanted the character to be, knowing absolutely nothing about him. It's how I would have wanted it to be, and I thought the storyline was great. It was predictable, but it's a comic book. I mean, it's a comic. It's
Yeah, let's
You
go
have
ahead and
to
get that
know-
out of the way. We redo the comic book storyline in its totality about every 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, like it's the same stories over and over again. Let's not act
Yeah.
like that's new.
Jason, did you bring that mug from home?
Yeah, I did.
All right, cool. All right, so
He also brought his beautiful Superman statue.
Yeah, I wonder where I got that from.
I don't know. It's
Josh.
probably a pretty great guy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very talented
Yeah,
one as
yes.
well.
Yeah, just a reminder. This has made an appearance before, but
yes.
Josh very kindly created and 3D printed this and painted it and presented it to me when I came back.
It was your coming home
It was
present.
my coming
yeah.
home present.
Very, very cool Puerto Rican
Yes.
inspired Superman.
He spends his time in the sun, Christian. It's where he gets his powers.
Beat me to it. I was going to say the same thing.
Pale Superman would not make sense. Blow it out your ass.
So what's your top
So-
level thought? High level
So
thought?
I loved this film. However, there were some downsides. So I loved that it truly felt like a comic book. I loved David Corenswet. I loved Rachel Brosnahan. I loved Nicholas Hoult. I was a little questionable. I questioned Nicholas
I question
Holt's-
you frequently.
Yes. I questioned Nicholas Holt's casting as Lex Luthor. I didn't know if he had the chops for it.
No, dude, killed
He
it.
was
Mhm.
fantastic.
I hated him because he was great.
Yeah.
He was awesome.
like you
Yeah.
hated him in a good way.
Certified douchebag. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But like I believed him as Lex Luthor though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he made me so angry. It was awesome.
Like he felt like he was the smartest dude
Mhm.
on the planet.
Yeah.
And like that was because, and this is me owning up, I was talking crap about Nicholas Hoult, mostly because I feel like I should have been Lex Luthor. But
there's your origin story.
But we can break that down later. But
I'm gonna give you a card for a therapist.
But no, killed it. Like that was actually my biggest takeaway. I was gonna save it for the spoiler thing, but since we brought it up, he was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
And I hope he keeps coming back.
And honestly, everybody killed it.
There was no weak link.
Yeah, there wasn't a bad actor.
Nobody was weak.
Yeah.
Unlike Jurassic Park.
World.
Whatever. Jurassic Park was good.
Afterbirth.
Yes.
Now, I do want to just gloss over all that. I do want to quickly talk about the supporting cast, but then I want to jump into why I disliked the film to bring it down to a 4.5. So the supporting cast, we ragged pretty hard on Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner leading up to this movie. That trailer that we talked about Guy Gardner with was our most viewed video by far of all time.
Still trying
Thanks,
to figure
guys.
that one out. Yeah. We got so many new subscribers off that video.
Yeah, we did. Thanks for subscribing. I still didn't really like the character in this movie.
I don't think you were supposed to.
He's not likable.
Yeah.
And every time Nathan Fillion was on screen, I just like, oh, hey, it's Nathan Fillion being Nathan Fillion, just a little bit more douchey. Like, it took me out of it just a little bit. Like, he played the role the way it was written, and I liked him for that. But I just couldn't get past it being Nathan Fillion.
Was he the weak link for you?
He was. He was.
Okay.
No, I did not mind him, internet, as Guy Gardner. He was a fantastic Guy Gardner. I just didn't like the casting of Nathan Fillion.
So I thought that the supporting Justice Gang was going to be different in their portrayal. Guy Gardner was actually kind of the
fool.
He wanted to be the leader, but he really wasn't. Yeah. Mr. Terrific was the leader, honestly. And he kind of was I think he was one of the main heroes of the movie.
Yeah. Remember, an alpha dog never has to say there now.
Sorry. I'm going to stop there. But so that I found that surprising. I kind of liked it. I'll talk more about this in the spoilers. But a lot of my knowledge about what was talked about in this movie was from the CW Arrowverse.
Yeah.
So I did have some preconceived notions about how they were portrayed. And they were portrayed differently in this movie than in the CW, in the Arrowverse. It was fine. I just had to get used to it, and it did well for that. So, Hawk Girl.
Yeah, I did not like Hawk Girl.
Yeah,
I mean, she started screaming.
Not
like, that was just weird.
Not the actress's problem, just the direction of that character.
Or it should have just been a different character entirely.
Yeah, like she acted the character. Well, the acting was not the issue. The character was the issue.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it wasn't bad. It
didn't break the movie.
But how she was used.
Yeah, it was a little just out of place almost.
Yeah.
Or like unnecessary out of place. Could have. It was a little weird.
No spoilers, but she did have her moment though.
Yeah,
that I thoroughly enjoyed.
Sure.
Yeah.
If it's the same moment I'm thinking of, I hate it.
See, I can't think of what moment you'd be thinking.
Is it the same moment I'm thinking of?
See, that's that's what I was.
If you know, you know.
But that was also like
I caught what you were throwing. Yeah,
that was also like the first time we saw her. Anyway, right?
I think
I know what you mean.
Anyway, so I do want to talk about the James Gunn aspect of it. For the most part, like 90% of the James Gunn aspect of it, I loved. His direction was fine. His story writing was fine. I loved it. He found the line, and then he went just a little bit over the line with some of the goofiness. Like, without spoiling any context, monkeys. That was too much for me.
That
was too much for you. That's what did it for you. Okay.
I mean,
I
feel
the same way.
I feel you.
That was the only point in the movie that I was like.
But he was kind of making a statement with that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he was like making a statement with that.
I mean, I get the statement, but also like Nicholas Hoult having to say his lines seriously about.
But he did.
But he did.
he did it. And I was like, I don't know how you could get through that.
So
that's what the money's for.
I will say one of my primary concerns with James Gunn when he was when we got the news that he was going to be helming this movie was Suicide Squad. First of all, I was not a big fan of it. Secondly, the Starro character, grossed me out. Like it was gross. And I was afraid that he was going to make this movie gross in some ways.
There were a couple spots.
But not like Starro.
I don't know if you're remembering.
I don't remember.
Maybe not.
Any gross
Yeah, I don't.
spots.
Yeah.
I remember
That
a
was-
spot.
No,
that wasn't gross.
It wasn't gross. Not like Suicide
You
Squad.
child.
I think you just. I was gonna say that might be a you thing.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a javelin
What?
through the pupil.
Even the lady was like, ooh.
Oh yeah. Anyway, we'll talk about it in the spoilers. But
I think
to
that
me,
hit you harder
yeah.
than us.
But anyway, so I think he did walk the James Gunn line. He did cross it, I think, a little bit. There was one scene in there which reminded me very much of a Rocket Raccoon moment. And
Yeah,
I
I think
couldn't get that out of my head. Like
Yeah.
I was like, he made it too much like a scene from the second Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was like, this is almost really reminiscent of that. So it was a Mr. Terrific scene.
My only counter to that would be, in my opinion, the 90% of the style that is great is worth the 10% that barely misses.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's if him occasionally going just maybe a hair too far means I get the rest of it, I'm okay with it. That's a decent trade-off.
That's how I felt about the monkeys. Like that was the only point where I was like, but it was like 1.5% further than what I would have.
It wasn't
you
like
know, in a
Kingdom of the
perfect
Crystal
movie.
Skull Monkey. Like it wasn't that bad.
You know
Yeah.
what? I saw that movie.
I am so sorry that
She
was a
understood
movie
that
was seen.
reference.
Yeah.
Just that I've got to call it out when I can.
Oh, which was also about monkeys.
Yeah.
It's like a 3-level reference.
So, I think one last thing we can really talk about before we get into spoilers, since it was used so heavily in marketing, I do want to talk about Krypto real quick. Not how he plays into the story, just the use of Krypto.
Loved it.
Solid.
Because in live action, that can be kind of weird, but
Yeah.
did it get pulled off? Was it a good usage?
I
of
thought it
Krypto?
was
Yeah,
great.
definitely.
Yes.
Solid.
Yeah.
And the justification at the end was perfect.
I had that spoiled for me.
Did you really?
Aw.
How? We're
I
like one
don't
of the
know. I
first
can't
12
even-
people to see the
I
movie.
can't remember how I learned about that.
Okay.
But I was so I was kind of pissed. I was just like,
Because that was the only question I had throughout the movie. Was, are we
who's-
going to explain where
the
Krypto
Foster?
came
Yeah.
from? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they did, and it was worth it.
I hate that I knew what it was.
I liked the idea of Krypto. I just think I didn't like how hyper he was.
He's a puppy.
Yeah,
A space
I don't
puppy.
know.
Space puppy.
It kept getting overused that he was a hyper puppy for laughs. Like,
Yeah,
in
but when
very
you
serious-
have a hyper puppy, it doesn't stop.
I don't know. It's like at the very end, I can't really say, but like
Yeah.
he ruined serious moments by being a hyper puppy. It's like I
Yeah,
feel
that's life with a hyper puppy.
like, okay. I'm done. All right.
I
so-
get it. It's like me and sticking the landing. It's like
Yeah.
you're gonna do something in a certain way, follow through with it right, or don't do it.
I didn't think it was overused.
Yeah,
I
don't.
thought
know.
I thought it was.
But that's how he felt, and I get what he's saying.
yeah,
He's
I
wrong.
have feelings, guys. Let me have my feelings.
I don't
Oh,
agree with you, but
I
I,
don't-
understand what you're saying.
I don't know anything about having strong feelings and opinions about a movie, so I
That is a
definitely
Jurassic
don't know
lie.
that.
All right. Anything else to wrap up the spoiler-free discussion before we start talking about all the story stuff in the next video?
No, it's
No,
better.
I'm ready to talk about spoilers.
All right. All right. So, 4.5 out of 5. So, let's look at the critic scores so far. So, we like to look at Rotten Tomatoes first.
Boo!
Wow. Right now, on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 87% out of 143 reviews. It is certified fresh. It's a little bit lower than we were hoping, but still not bad. 87% of critics thought it was a good movie.
I mean, technically, it tracks with our score.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's just down 3% from what ours would be.
The Metacritic score is a 71.
So that's
So, as low C.
matches mine.
Yeah.
3.5 times 2 is 7.
Critics aren't real people.
70.
All right. So, thank you for tuning in. If you have made it this far, thank you. And please, if you have not already, subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@EatSleepNerd. Leave a like in this video, some comments down below. Please keep it spoiler-free. If you leave some spoilers in those comments, I'm going to delete you. But we do have a spoiler discussion coming out in the next few days where we will be talking about the entire story of this movie. So make sure you go check out this movie in theaters this weekend. Go see it in theaters.
It's what Tom Cruise would want.
Seriously, go see it in theaters.
And Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
She
Or
does
Katie
the
Holmes.
she does the theater.
Oh, that's right.
AMC.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Don't bring Katie Holmes into this.
I'm sorry. I didn't know what you were going for.
She didn't come back for The Dark Knight. We're still mad.
And happy birthday, David Corenswet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
fortuitous.
hope you had a super birthday.
Boo.
Jason,
Yo.
since this was your movie,
Yes.
3 things nerds should be doing before they go check out Superman in theaters this weekend.
Eat, sleep, watch our review, then go watch the movie and nerd.
It's 5 things.
That is a
I
lot of
know.
things. Take it easy, people.